There we go. Microphone is working. Good morning. How's everyone doing? Good. My name is Barbara Bynum, and I think everyone in this audience knows that. You guys are our regulars. Thanks for coming. And it's my pleasure to be one of the moderators or hosts for our weekly forum program, along with Kathy Beavers and Judy Ann Files and Dee Benzinger. And we work really hard to bring you guys an interesting program every Wednesday, and have been doing that for over a decade. Sometimes we do feel like we're running out of ideas, so please always come to us and tell us if you have an idea that you think would work here in Montrose. This morning we are going to hear from the CSU Extension Office, and the CSU, or Colorado State University Extension Office, resides in the Montrose County Fairgrounds building, and they're going to explain to us at the end of the presentation how the CSU Extension Office works and when it got set up and what its purpose is. But there are multiple different areas that the CSU Extension Office covers, and we're going to talk about two of those this morning. Katie Alexander is going to be the first speaker, and she's going to talk about small acreage and how the CSU Extension Office helps landowners. And then Jaime Goza is the 4-H coordinator, and he is then going to talk about that program. Katie has to leave a little early, so we're actually going to do questions for Katie right after her presentation. So as she talks about her presentation, think about what questions you might have for Katie. And with that, let's give her a warm welcome.
Thank you. Like she said, my name is Katie Alexander, and just so you guys know a little bit of my background, I went to Colorado State University. I studied soil and crop sciences, and I am a Montrose native. My parents moved here when I was in 2nd grade, so I grew up here, and my parents still reside here, and we live here with 3 beautiful daughters, and have a small farming operation south of Montrose where we raise cattle and hay production for our area. So I'm very ingrained into the ag industry here in the Montrose community. So I am the small acreage and marketing position for the Tri-River area, and Jamie's going to talk about it really quick, but in short, I encompass Mesa County, Delta County, Montrose, and a little bit of Ouray, and occasionally I end up in Gunnison for requests here and there, even though Gunnison has its own office. That's outside of our area, but I do work up there on occasion. So small acreage, what does that mean? Right? Yeah. That was my question when I started working. So what counts as small acreage? To be honest, I help typically 3 acres to about 60 acres here in Montrose, here in the different counties. And sometimes that fluctuates around a little bit based on the requests that I get. Since my background is in soils, probably one of the biggest requests I get is how to take soil samples here in the area. And so I did bring my trusty soil probe. This one's seen better days. It's a little twisted. I have a nicer one in the office, but this one works for demonstration purposes. I also have an auger. These I rent from the office. It's not very much. It's like $5. I also have a hay probe that you guys can rent for $10 if you are got hay that you'd like to sample for feeding to livestock and stuff. I just ask for a little bit because I have to replace these every once in a while, and these lose tips on them. And then I brought my handy dandy bucket. I have to tell you, I've done soil samples for many, many years in this area. My favorite bucket for collecting soil samples was a Halloween pumpkin. You want to know why? I lost it out in the field multiple times, and a bright orange pumpkin sticks out really easy to find. I do get sidetracked and wander off to go look at plants. So the next thing that I get a lot of outreach and questions in our office is about weeds and plant identification. I'm getting much better at native plant identification because of all of you wonderful people that bring me stuff in. Weeds are definitely my strong suit, especially when it comes to how to properly manage the weeds on your property. So if you have herbicide questions or want to look into biocontrol or other natural methods, definitely reach out. I have some ideas and definitely some fact sheets for you. Some of the other stuff that I like to do is field visits, and so that if you guys need help taking soil samples that come to your property, those are free. I only fit a couple of those in a month just because I get busy and pull different directions. But I do them. And then we walk properties, look at plants, talk about pasture health and mitigation strategies for like irrigation water management. So that's putting water on your field. And then the appropriate amounts you need to be putting on your field. And then sometimes some diagnostic works with diseases and bugs. And when I don't know it, I know people who know it. And Jamie's gonna talk about that when it comes to some of the bug people we have in for you guys to take advantage of. So outside of the field visits and stuff, the small acreage side, I work with a lot of the ag producers on marketing. We're working on a few classes later this fall. I partnership a lot with Valley Food Partners. And we're looking at some like social media marketing classes for the small producers within our area so they can learn and take advantage of that. And then classes like Annie's Project. For those of you who don't know, that's a women in agricultural based project that women who are already in agriculture come and we talk about risk mitigation for farm insurance, life. One of the biggest challenges that we have in our community right now is land transition. And so how do we properly hand land down to younger families or to kids that are starting to grow up? And so that's something that we're trying to overcome a little bit in this area and educate people on. And then my favorite, I am a huge proponent of soil health. You guys all know what soil health is? Yes, absolutely, fantastic. If you don't, call me. I will spend at least 30 minutes talking your ear off about soil health. Right now in the Valley, we have the Soil Health Group. It's a grassroots group. It's been around since, gosh, probably 2008, I think. It's been a long time. It's a group of federal employees and producers, and we put on the Soil Health Conference in Delta for a long period of time. In the last 2 years, that group has combined with the Food and Farm Forum, which is kind of overseen by the Valley Food Partnership. I'm super, super excited to have both of these groups come together. And they're going to have the second Western Colorado Soil Health Food and Farm Forum. Yes, I absolutely know that is a mouthful, so we need to come up with a new name. That's going to be in January, and there's a flyer over there for that. Dr. Dwayne Beck will be speaking at that. Super knowledgeable gentleman when it comes to soil health. Highly encourage, even if you don't have a farming background, come listen to these speakers. They're amazing to just come and learn about mycorrhizal fungi. Right? If you don't know what that is, come see me. I will talk your ear for 30 minutes off later about that. So that's coming up in January. We'll start seeing more information about that coming out soon. The Soil Health Group is also working with the Chavano Conservation District, and I actually started a flyer yesterday, so there's information kind of missing off of it, but it's sitting over there. In November on the 14th, we'll be having a tour. So I help organize tours as part of my job. We're gonna go out and look at some kernza fields, which is a perennial grain. Or like, perennial grain, aren't grains annuals? Well, typically they are. But we are working with the Land Institute. And if you guys don't know who the Land Institute is, Googly the Land Institute and look at their website for about 10 minutes. You will be in awe of this group. And so we are studying, and there's about 5 or 6 fields out in Chavano and Olathe planted with this plant called kernza. And we're trialing it, and we're growing it, and we're gonna turn it into flour, and I'm gonna make pancakes with it on the 14th and feed you guys flour pancakes. I ordered some. It's actually grown in Kansas and Oklahoma right now with the Land Institute, and so we're hopefully bringing it here. And the reason why that's so important to me is in soil health, a permanent cover crop, permanent roots in the ground, your healthy biomass, always living there. Well, how do you get any better than having a perennial grain system? Something that's always in the soil, holding it in place, right? And so I'm super excited that we have some farmers that are branching out, trying some of that stuff. And then I think Jamie's got a picture in his slideshow that we put into it. There's a great photo of Sri, Carrie Maddox, myself, and a gal named Indy, and she's actually a CMU student in Fruta, where we planted some cover crop trials that will hopefully be sprouting next spring. And so lots of fun things that we have for research coming that direction. So I do branch out and do some research. And then I think next spring we'll probably have some chicken processing classes and stuff. I've got a couple. It's not an enjoyable conversation, but definitely something that we've got a lot of small acreage producers that are asking about around here. And so I think we'll host a couple of those. What kind of questions do you guys have for me? I probably just completely talked your ears off. Yeah.
Is Kernza just an irrigated crop, or can you do it on dry land?
So, you know, we don't get enough moisture here really to grow anything dry land, right? We've got to supplement irrigate a little bit. The question is how much? And I think that's one of the things that, you know, the first question is, how's Kernza going to produce? Can we grow it here? And then the second question is, can we use it as a drought-resistant crop? And again, going back to the soil health idea, you have a perennial root in the ground, it's there all the time, your organic matter is building, your water capacity or the ability to hold water in the soil for longer periods of time is increasing. And so I would like to think with just common knowledge of that, I think our water reduction is a possibility with Kernza, absolutely.
Is Kernza just a grain that we just haven't heard of before, but is used other places in the world, or what else can you tell us about Kernza?
Yeah, so it's an ancient grain. It's been around, like we have lots of different varieties of grain, but with modern technologies and stuff, you know, last 50, 60 years, we singled out mass-produced grains, right? Stuff that grew quickly, stuff that grew big, because we had mouths to feed. And so on the wayside of, and then the other side is quality. So on the wayside, production is important, right? So we're working on making sure we can grow some of these crops and get the yields so that producers can actually make a profit. And then the second is the quality. So baking breads and flours, different grains have different qualities. So you have like your pastry grain, you have a grain that you might grind up like red winter wheat or soft winter wheat. Soft winter wheat is usually used for like pastries and donuts, and like hard red wheat is used for like your breads and like baguettes and things like that, right? And so what can we use Kernza for, right? And that's another part of the study is, does it make pastries better, or does it make pancakes and muffins and cookies better? So,
Interesting.
I have one more. How much interest are you seeing from younger people versus mid to 70s age in farming, in crop producing, in your whole area?
yeah, I think yes is the answer. The actual percentage and stuff, I don't know that off of the top of my head. You know, there is kind of a movement, especially with kids coming, or younger population coming out of cities and stuff, where they like the idea of working with their hands, doing things on the ground, being self-sustainable. And so yes, I do think we are seeing a larger younger population wanting to move into the ag and farming industry. One of the challenges that they are really facing though is land access. You know, $10,000, $12,000 an acre, that's almost prohibitive for some kids to pick up and start farming in this area. So there's definitely challenges with it. Yes, I like to say yes, it's increasing, but yes, there's challenges that they're having to deal with. And it's not just purchasing the piece of property, it's purchasing farm equipment and purchasing all the stuff that goes along with that, because have you guys priced a new combine lately? I could buy a house. You know, that stuff's expensive. A big house.
It's probably as expensive as a trash truck, and I do know how much that costs.
Katie, thank you for coming. A couple weeks ago, we had a lady come in from the Shadow Hill Conservation District, and I asked her a question about an opportunity to look at rehabilitating some of these orphan BLM allotments. And there's a shortage. Some of these allotments have not been taken care of, you know, so they're not valuable anymore. The question is, do you engage with the BLM and so forth on that rehabilitation? And then the second question I have is, what are the disadvantages of deep tilling soil?
Okay, so two-part question. I don't do as much with the BLM as I probably would like to be involved with them. However, I can tell you I'm really excited. Some of the speakers that are going to be talking at the Soil Health Food and Farm Forum are really into range. Our range lands are super important, And one of the things that we're lacking is the research, the study, the information of what we can do without livestock and with livestock on range ground to improve its soil health. And those people would probably be a little bit better suited. Somebody like Steve Hale, he is, I think, the president of the Chavano Conservation District, to kind of ask some of those questions with, because they are trying to reach out and facilitate some of that type of work and that study and that information that might eventually be able to help some of those pieces of property to bring them more back to life. Can I answer your question a little bit?
Yeah, the other one was deep tilling.
Yep, deep tillage. It has its place, right? We have tools in a toolbox to accomplish things. So as much as I love soil health, on occasion we need deep tillage. I'm not gonna lie about that. We get these things called hard pans in our soils, and we can typically break them up with cover crops if you can get a deep-rooted one that has like daikon radishes or some type of species that's gonna put a root in the ground 12, 14 inches deep. The downside to what it does in soil health is it breaks up the homes of the mycorrhizal fungi, the bacteria, the protozoa that are living there. And so as soil forms throughout the years, these bacteria and these fungi, they secrete these like glomulins, these glue type things, and that holds those soil particles to place. So your sand, silt, and clay loops it all together in like a little aggregate. And so over time we create granular type soil structure, which is practically ideal when it comes to farming. And the more we deep till and rip that stuff and plow it, it's not necessarily one deep tillage, it's the pulverization of the disking that you have to do 12 times before you can make the seed bed to plant in around here. Because we have really fun soils on the east side of the highway that's clay, or really fun soils where we have the mango shale that's coming in, because those are a clay loam-based soil. And so it's actually that action that's a little bit more damaging. One of the other things is because you break up the homes of the mycorrhizal bacteria and the fungi and the protozoas, they burn a lot of the carbon or the organic matter that had been originally stored in the soil to recreate their home too. So those guys are eating all of that stuff back up so they can continue to survive and create themselves their happy little home to live in. So you're reducing your organic matter in your soil. Your organic matter relates back to your water holding capacity and your nutrient exchange. So if we can increase our organic matter, leave it alone by not tilling, we have free fertilizer because we're bringing it up and it's cycling better. And then we also have a higher water holding capacity. Again, alliterating back to the drought conversation is maybe if we can hold more water in our soil, we don't have to irrigate or water as much.
Does that have an effect on global warming?
In the grand scheme of things, quite possibly. I don't have the information really to educationally answer that question for you.
I read an article on that it allows the carbon back up into the atmosphere. It allows the carbon back up in the atmosphere?
Yeah. Well, and you think about, what is the term I'm looking for? Like one of our biggest nemesis on the planet today is soil degradation. Because we as a society, we as a people, not necessarily us in Montrose, Colorado, but the entire earth, we don't take care of our soils, right? And that's probably one of the biggest challenges when you start looking overseas in other areas is soil erosion and soil degradation. So yes, in a roundabout way, absolutely. Blake, if that is.
Katie, you and I met when we did a little farm tour together. Can you talk maybe anecdotally about a farmer in town and how you help them, and if you're helping them from everything from soils to how to bring their product to market? Are you helping them with that? So
Yep.
maybe use someone we visited or someone like that as an example?
Yep, so probably, and it's not just like, sometimes it's holding one person's hand all the way through the process, and sometimes it's just somebody picking up the phone and asking a random question. And I'm gonna say I don't know all the answers, but I know people who know the answers, so, that's probably the best thing about working at CSU is, we have Ann, she's the food and consumer science. I get kind of lost and boggled down when we get to like the rules and regulations when it comes to taking the vegetables, washing the vegetables and taking them to the farmer's market to actually sell. And like at what point in the process are you having to follow food safety laws and that type of stuff, especially if you're like cutting up a vegetable for sample, for somebody to try at your booth and that kind of stuff. So not my area of expertise. But in terms of like, let's get soil samples, let's get your irrigation system set up, here's where you're gonna go buy this kind of stuff, or here's online where you're gonna look to price these things, here's your resources. That's probably my biggest go-to when it comes to helping people, is saying, this is where this information is. You know, you still have to do your own homework. I'm not gonna start your business for you, but here's where you can start getting this information and pulling it from. Here's some of our ways to get insurance for farm commodities and stuff through the Farm Service Agency. Goes to visit with this gal, or Joe, or Debbie at the Farm Service Agency. They can help you with this, this, and this. Oh, you're planting this, let's look at this grant right here, maybe we can find you some money for an irrigation system. That's probably what I do most in my job. And and also, my favorite is, we have a lot of people moving to Montrose, and in the springtime this year and last year, I taught a lot of people how to put gates and gated pipe. And I know that seems kind of silly.
Wait, what does that mean?
Yeah, see? So we have probably the majority of our ground here in Montrose, the majority, yes, like 90%, is underground pipe or dirt ditches into gated pipe. Gated pipe is the white stuff you see at the top of the field, has little black gates every 30 inches, and those slide back and forth. Teaching people how to put those black gates to slide back and forth, I've had to do multiple times, just because they moved from California, they moved from Texas, they've never touched that stuff before. And I made this silly little video of my husband showing people how to do it, so I can text it to them if they want it, you know.
So does that mean that you see some people that are maybe third generation producer and, they're on their family's land, and then you see other people that are like, hey, this sounds fun, and we're just gonna go do it, and you see both types?
I do, I see both of that, yep. Yeah, it's what makes the job fun, actually.
What other kinds of questions you guys have for Kate? I'm gonna let Jim ask another question, because no one else is. So.
No, and this will be my last question. I don't mean to be rude, but I double booked myself. One of my favorite things about this job is youth education, and I got asked to help some honeybee stuff in Delta, and I wanted to be here for you guys, and I also wanted to be there for them. So we're gonna teach kids about pollinators.
So Katie, this is kind of a stupid question, but when you're replacing a gate in a gated pipe and there's water flowing through that, what's an acceptable amount of lost gates that go down through the pipe that you can't get back?
None, if you're my husband. You should be able to do it with the little tool and not lose any of it. Well, let's just keep that to ourselves and go pull the plug when we turn the water off and not tell anybody.
Katie is a great resource. When we met, we were talking about my husband's newfound love of making pickles, and she's like, I don't know, but I know who to send you guys to. And so she is a great resource, and the CSU Extension office is a great resource. And I know you got to get to Delta, so let's give Katie a big round of applause. She's going to pass the mic to Jaime Goza. He is also a local kid who grew up and is now back working in our community. He's a graduate of Olathe High School. His wife is a graduate of Montrose High School. They have a 2-year-old and 6-year-old boys who keep them very busy. He taught, after coming back to our community, he taught ag and 4-H stuff at Olathe High School, and then the job at the CSU Extension office became open. And so now he does similar work, but for the CSU Extension office. And I'll let him tell you a little bit more about himself, his job, and what the 4-H program does, and I'll help him with the slideshow piece too.
All right, thank you, and I'll probably wait on the slideshow for just a little bit,
Okay.
kind of talk about some of our programs and stuff that we have. So, like Barbara was saying, my name is Jaime Goza. I did grow up here in Montrose County, graduated from Olathe High School in 2007. I attended school at Colorado State University and graduated with my degree in history and high school education. So I came back. Always wanted to come back to the area. Montrose County, Olathe is near and dear to my heart. I've had family in Montrose since 1909, so very ingrained in the area here, and knew I always wanted to come back and get back to the community that gave a lot to me. So taught for 9 years at Olathe High School, and then the position opened up with CSU Extension, and I looked at it as a way to reach more youth in our area. I know I wanted to be an educator, a teacher, and work with the youth since I was young and attending school myself. And again, the people that helped me become the person I am, I wanted to kind of follow in their footsteps and give back to the area. So moving over to Extension enabled me to not only work with students and the youth from just Olathe High School, but obviously Montrose County. I also do the 4-H program for Ouray County as well. So I work a lot with the county commissioners in both Montrose and Ouray counties, fair board members, a lot of different people that are part of the whole 4-H program and what goes into it. So I'll talk a little bit about my program to start off with, since that's the one that's near and dear to my heart and I know the most about. And then I do want to fill you guys in on some of our other agents that we have in Montrose County, but then also as I get into the PowerPoint, talk about the opportunities that we have at CSU Extension, not just in Montrose County and how we're tied in with what's called the Tri-River area and all the resources and different tools that we have available for our community as well. It might not be someone here in our office in Montrose, but there are definitely resources that come to Montrose and help out and do different things. So with the 4-H program here in Montrose County, I'm very excited to say our numbers are going up. I will be here 3 years in June, so I'm still fairly new to the program, but when I first started, kind of the post-COVID and some of that, we did see a big dip in our numbers, getting students out and involved in the 4-H program. We had 190 members when I first started, and this last year we had 246. So in just about 2 years, we've gone up almost a quarter of the entire numbers have increased. So we've been really excited about that. The adult leadership that we have, when I first started, there was 40 different adult volunteers that helped out in the program, and this last year I had 68. So again, I've been really trying to get out. I go into the schools a decent amount and take in flyers and information. Last week I brought a goat to Pomona Elementary School for the Kiss a Principal program that they had as part of their incentive for the kids to get out for the October count, and was contacted and they said, hey, do you have a pig or an animal that you could bring? And I said, you know what, my sons have a mini goat, I will bring it down for you. And we showed up and the kids really enjoyed that. Something kind of fun that I get to go out and do. So with the 4-H program, we offer tons and tons and tons of different projects. I have some flyers that I had put over here on the table. I don't want to read them all off to you because there's about 60 of them. And one thing that a lot of people get in their mind is that 4-H is just county fair. And you have to be at county fair and you have to show a steer or a pig or something like that. And as we know, the demographics in Montrose County have changed. We're becoming a little bit more urbanized, right? More people living in towns and stuff, not as many large-scale farms, ranches, and that going on. But the cool thing with 4-H is we have a project or a program to offer for anybody. So those kids that are interested in the computer side of things, the STEM projects when it comes to robotics, rocketry, electrical engineering projects, we have those. So these children and all these kids, not just children, ages 8 to 18 are full 4-H members. And then we also offer what's called a Clover Bud program, and that's for children aged 5 to 7. And that's kind of introductory into 4-H. You can be a Clover Bud member. You can't do any animal projects just because of some safety reasons and insurance policies that CSU has, but any of our what we call general projects are available. So I'll tell you some of those ones that we have. We have gardening, computer power, model rocketry, small engines, robotics, entomology, woodworking, photography, global citizenship, leadership, cake decorating, sewing, artistic clothing, food preservation, home design and decor, scrapbooking, lots and lots of different things. And the way it kind of works within our 4-H program is you guys haven't, any members, any people in there that were past 4-H members, I guess? Maybe I'll, perfect, awesome, I like to see it. So with the 4-H, what we do is we have different clubs. And we have adult volunteers that are leaders of our clubs. The kids attend meetings, monthly meetings, to learn about, parliamentary procedure, how to operate and run a meeting smoothly, and also public speaking, which comes in handy, obviously, if you get asked to come in and talk and stuff. So they get their public speaking skills. They're required to do community service. So they're supposed to be out in the community. You've probably seen some of them at different events that are going on. Maybe possibly picking up trash along the roadways, things like that. So again, it's part of that giving back to the community. So the 4 H's of 4-H, where it gets its name, is head, hands, heart, and health. So we have a 4-H motto that goes with that, and it's I pledge my head to clearer thinking, my heart to greater loyalty, my hands to larger service, and my health to better living for my club, my community, my country, and my world. And that's one thing that all 4-H members recite for every single 4-H meeting. And again, it's about giving back. It's about the health of the individual, but also the health and viability of the community and what they can do to give back to it. So again, why it's near and dear to my heart, because I felt like I needed to come back and give back to my community, and this is a great opportunity for it. So with those clubs, the 4-H members attend these monthly meetings, learn all these different things, work on their projects, and have guidance from our club leaders. And my job is to kind of oversee all of that, help give those resources, help give any advice, any type of information I can to those different club leaders that we have. So those club leaders and those adult volunteers act as our liaisons kind of between me at the extension office and our club members. And yes, I see all of our club members all over the place. I'll walk through City Market and hear, hey, Mr. Goza, hey, Jamie, how's it going? And see all those kids, so that's pretty fun for me to be able to see them and keep that connection. But with our adult volunteers, if there's stuff that they are interested in or they're specialized in, we have a lot of adult volunteers that help out with the livestock side of things. But we're always looking for more when it comes to our general projects. The woodworking, the robotics, we have sport fishing. Like to go out and fish, we have kids that are in our sport fishing program. Go out, head up to Ridgeway, go do some fishing and that kind of stuff. We're always looking for it. So it's kind of like a mentor program, but geared towards a lot of leadership as well, and helping these children and helping these kids develop those leadership skills that are going to help them on into the future. One of the brochures that I brought, I actually put this together when I completed my master's. So I just recently finally got it done, completed my master's in education this last year, and I apologize, I did do it through Western, so sorry Colorado Mesa, but I did complete it through Western up in Gunnison. But I did a study, so part of my master's program was looking at the impact of positive youth development. And I did some surveys, did a lot of interviews with different kids in the area, and not just Montrose kids. I talked to 4-H members from Ouray, from Mesa County, from Delta County, and kind of compiled a little bit of a list. So this was basically my thesis project, and I have some over here. But within it, I have some information just to kind of show the impact that 4-H has and the benefit. So when it comes to performance in school, 4-H versus non-4-H youth, the grades, just straight across the board, looking at the grades that these students are able to participate or able to have, mostly A's. 38.2% of 4-H members are going to be those students that have mostly A's compared to 26% that are non-4-H members. A's and B's is 36.2% are 4-H members to 32% are non-4-H members. And this one was not actually done by me just here. This was done by CSU and encompassed the entire state of Colorado. So we had to submit a bunch of data and that kind of stuff. They contacted school districts and stuff to get some of this information to just show the impact that 4-H has with these students. One of the ones that I did myself with the 4-H members of Montrose and Ouray was what type of skills do they think that 4-H helped them gain? And I did current members, past members, and then I spoke with a lot of parents as well, and just kind of send out some different Google forms and things and how to fill this out. So the top one that all three of those groups, the current members, past members, and parents all said was the leadership skills that they gained from 4-H. Being able to, again, have to step out of your comfort zone, talk in front of groups, have that work ethic that comes with it. You know, we talk about the farming and ranching in this area, and getting up at the crack of dawn to get out there and take care of your animals, go feed, go do that stuff before you head to school or before you go into a job in the summer, those types of things. And the 4-H members and the 4-H program really helps instill that work ethic and those leadership skills to be a self-starter and go out and kind of take care of business when you need to. So like I said, work ethic was the number 2 one. Communication skills and opportunities were the next 2 that they thought were the biggest things that 4-H gave to them. So some of the opportunities that we have, obviously there's a lot of scholarship opportunities. Being tied in with Colorado State University is very nice and very fortunate for us because not only do we offer scholarships obviously to CSU, but there's a lot of different scholarships that don't have to go just to Colorado State University. They can go to any different college in all of Colorado, and some of them even nationally. Other opportunities when it comes to the leadership piece is different workshops and leadership camps that we put on all around the state. I am one of our state advisors for the 4-H program, so there's 4 of us in the entire state of Colorado, and we oversee our state officer team. So we have an elected delegation of 12 state officers that come from each of the 12 districts in Colorado. So when it comes to 4-H, it's broken down into 12 different area districts, and we get a representative or a district president from each of those districts that then become part of the state officer team. And I'm one of our 4 state advisors for that officer team. And we put on 4 major youth leadership camps all around the state. So we have our first one coming up in November, and it's called the Colorado Leadership Camp, and it's in Glenwood Springs. And it's geared toward members that are 11 to 13 years old, our intermediate age, and we go through there and do leadership workshops, communication skills, project-specific workshops as well. It's a two-day program that we do, and again, that's our first one's coming up. We do our June conference, is the big one, and that's in Fort Collins on the campus at CSU, and we have different competitions that happen. Again, lots of different leadership workshops that occur there, campus tours, showing the kids around, and trying to help them find that way possibly into secondary education or post-secondary education, getting into college and stuff. Another one that we do is called Youth Fest. It's in Pueblo, and we bring about 300 youth from all over the state to Youth Fest on the Colorado State Fairgrounds in Pueblo. We can house them there at the dorms that are on the Colorado State Fairgrounds. And again, a lot of leadership workshops. That's geared towards our senior members. So you have to be 14 to 18 to attend Youth Fest. And then we have our LDC, or Leadership Development Conference, that we do in Denver, and it's in January, and we kind of do it to coincide with the National Western Stock Show. And the really neat thing about LDC is our members actually go and meet with our state representatives. So we go to the Capitol, we take all of our kids there, then they get to talk to our state representatives in their offices. We go watch some of the meetings that they have, different organizations that go there, talk to some of the lobbyists even. But we bring our youth directly to our politicians and go talk to them and let the kids have a voice and say, here's what we think needs to happen to help out our community. So the LDC one that's probably one of the most beneficial, I would say, just because of taking out those youth and letting them have a voice and speak directly to the people that make the rules that we all have to follow. So LDC is a really, really impactful one that we do. Before I move on into the other stuff, are there any questions, I guess, with the 4-H program or anything? Is that all right if I kind of...
Yeah, 4-H questions now, and then you'll cover just the global CSU Extension office. If you've ever talked to those kids at the fair or the livestock auction, wow, they are some of the hardest working
They are,
kids.
yes.
So when children are enrolled in your program, are their parents also involved?
Yes, yep. So we actually get a lot of parents that are adult volunteers and leaders. There's no cost for the parents, but we do background checks on every single one of our adult leaders. They have to do some training with me. I go through and do leadership development trainings with all of our adult volunteers so that they kind of have the best start so that they know what to do to help these children out the best. Yeah, so yeah, a lot of parents are volunteers for us.
Thank you.
When it comes to on the animal side, what's the easiest animal for? I don't think I'm wearing my parent hat, right? My kid says they want to have a steer, but I want to know, maybe like there's a rabbit, a good entry. Like, what would you advise a parent who said, this is all new to us, but where's a good place to start?
I get that question a lot. That actually is very common. Again, it all depends on what you want to do, but I would say if it comes to the livestock, one of the ones that, honestly, if you're looking for, and not to sound bad, but to be able to make some money at it as well, is going to be rabbits and poultry. You have a lot less input into them. So the poultry, the chickens and turkeys and stuff that are shown at county fair, they're typically 8 to 12 weeks old is it. So you're having 2-3 months worth of input on them. And then we had our grand champion pin of 3 chickens at fair this last year sell for $2,200. So they had about $250 of investment into the project and ended up coming out of the sale with $2,200. So for return on investment, poultry and rabbits are probably going to be your best ones compared to, yes, you see the big numbers. Our grand champion steer at county fair this year broke the record. So we're super excited about that. It was $15,000 for our grand champion steer. So that sounds like a bunch. The kids' eyes get big when they see that $15,000. I want to do that, but they don't quite realize all the input that went into that animal, the feed. Those market steers that you guys see at the county fair, they're purchased right now for fair this next July. So those kids have bought those animals right now in the fall, October, November time, and then they're feeding them, prepping them, taking care of them all through the winter, all through the spring, most of the summer, to then get them to July. So again, there's a lot of input that goes into those steers and those beef projects. So yes, you get the big number at the end, but when you start doing it, all of our kids have to do record books. So that's one thing I didn't talk about, is the record keeping that comes with it. So they're all required to do a record book. In it, it has all their financials, their community service hours, they have to write a story, have to put pictures into it, go through their involvement. And again, that's one of the cool pieces with 4-H is that's a requirement. If you do not complete your record book, you can't do that project next year. And we all know record keeping is very, very important. It's one of the skills that's going to help as they get older to make sure. And again, it really helps those kids. Some of them will kind of come and be like, man, Mr. Goza's like, why didn't I make more money on this? I said, well, let's go through and look at this and let's see. All right, you're buying this type of feed. And that's one of the things that being a past ag teacher and animal science is something that, I really enjoy to do. My dad was a feed nutritionist, was a livestock nutritionist for 20 years. So I kind of learned from him the feeding and the care of the animals. So one thing I like to go through with a lot of the 4-H members is try to help them redo maybe some of their feeding protocols, their rations, we call it, how to adjust that, try to connect them with maybe some producers even in our area and say, hey, instead of feeding this, $40 a bag feed here, let's come back and we can mix some of this and you can put a little bit of this and we kind of make your own recipe and it's going to be a fraction of the cost. So then you're going to be able to make some more money at the end of it. So that's the teaching part, again, that I enjoy to kind of keep me in the teaching realm of things and to help those kids out when it comes to the record keeping. So yeah, poultry's probably the one that you'd be able to make the most money at and doesn't take nearly as much time with it because you only have it for a few weeks.
And you can have chickens in the city of Montrose, so.
Yeah, we had 3 when we lived in town, so no roosters, but some chickens.
Yep, chickens. Any other questions from you guys? I'm gonna keep going then. So when I went to Pueblo for the state fair last year, and there's those huge exhibition halls where the kids have their cake decorating, and they have all these other things that I didn't think were 4-H. Are those 4-H projects?
Those are, I haul all of ours over there. Yeah, all of those that are in those, so they have the 3 big halls right behind the grandstands at the arena and stuff. Every single one of those are all just 4-H exhibits that are in there. So the way it works, you do not have to qualify with an animal to show it at Colorado State Fair, but you do have to qualify from your county fair to take one of those in their what's called our general projects, so all of our indoor projects. So if you are a grand champion at your county fair, then you qualify to go on to state fair and compete there. And we actually had one of our members last year was the state grand champion overall with his model rockets. So he had a rocket that I hauled to Pueblo that was about 8 foot tall, and I was very stressed because I don't want anything to go wrong. I knew he had a really good chance to win. We also had a young man, this was his first year ever this year, 8 years old, brand new, and he built one of the most intricate and probably coolest robotics projects that I've seen. It used hydraulics, he had syringes, and it would literally have an arm on it, and it's made out of cardboard and glue and little tubes and syringes, and you could move the different ones and send different hydraulic fluid, and an arm would turn, and it was strong enough to pick up a full can of pop or Coke, and it could pick it up and move it and set it somewhere else. So, and he was the reserve champion. He didn't even win with that. I thought that was a shoo-in, but there's some pretty cool projects they get over there.
Wow, and you obviously love doing what you're doing and working with these kids. They're lucky to have you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I do. Like I said, it was a hard decision to leave from teaching. That was something that I had kind of made up my mind I was going to be in education from a very young age, but this is just an extension of education as well. Now I'm not only just teaching the 75 kids that I had in my FFA program at Olathe, I have the opportunity to work with 8 years old or clear down to 5 years old, all the way to 18. And like I said, 246 members in Montrose and Ouray County. When I first started, we had 9 members, so numbers were very, very low, and happy to say we're up to 26 up there now. So in just a couple years, we've recruited and gotten out, and I use some of my connections with the schools. I kind of call in some favors and stuff and go and say, hey, do you guys mind if I drop off some flyers or put a bug in some kids' ears and that. So it works very well, but it's a good partnership that we can have because it kind of be a good segue into some of our other programs.
Perfect, and I'm here
program.
and I'm here to advance the slides for you.
Great. So I'll talk, one of our other programs that we do offer with the Extension Office is our STEM program. So we have a STEM agent, and her name is Stephanie Lamb. We have 2 STEM agents in the TRA area. So when we talk about Tri-River area, perfect, and here's the map. So CSU is broken down into different regions that we're kind of responsible for. So they just redid this, so we're here in this entire western region, but within the TRA, as you'll probably hear a lot of us call it, is this Tri-River area. So it's Mesa County, Delta, Montrose, and Ouray. And we're pretty unique in this area because we share a lot of agents. So just because in the Montrose office, we have myself as a 4-H agent, Katie as our marketing and small acreage, Ann Duncan as our family consumer science, and then Stephanie Lamb as our STEM agent. We have a lot of opportunity in the Mesa County office, the Delta office, for other agents in different areas. So in the Mesa County office, we have our entomologists. make sure I'm not missing anybody. So Melissa Schreiner is our entomologist, and she's in Mesa County, but with our TRA partnership, she does a lot of work in Montrose, Delta, and Ouray counties as well. Melissa Franklin is a research associate that works closely with Melissa Schreiner doing entomology. She is also very helpful when it comes to like our small acreage stuff, working with Katie on a lot of things when it comes to plant identification, bug identification, those sorts of things. And then when it comes to horticulture, we have Molly Freilicher, and I'm sure a lot of you guys probably either use them or have heard of our Master Gardener program. So our Master Gardener program that we have Master Gardeners in the Montrose County office, and Molly is the coordinator, head of the Master Gardener program, and the Master Gardeners are very, very helpful when it comes to questions that a lot of you guys might have. What's the best plant to put in here? What are some soil amendments I can do in my garden? What's going on with my tree? My tree's got this going on, the leaves are turning this color, what can I do? So we get a lot of those types of questions that come into our office, and our Master Gardeners are huge, huge assets when it comes to that. They will come out and do some home visits. You guys can become part of the Master Gardener program. They're required to do so many hours of service there. They come into our offices. They're in there Fridays from 1 to 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, excuse me, give or take. They're just about done with their season this year, and then they'll start back up this spring. But Molly is based out of Mesa County, but she does visits and kind of travels around the Tri-River area and meets with all of our Master Gardeners, because every county has their own Master Gardener program except Ouray, but our Montrose Master Gardeners will help out with some Ouray community members as well. And then we do have, when it comes to like some larger areas, we have a livestock agent, and his name is Doug Dean, and Katie was talking about the importance of range management. Doug Dean is our range management agent and livestock agent, and he's out of the Mesa County office, and he's also our area director. So he's kind of oversees all of the TRA area for us, but he does do livestock specific questions and range management. So Katie takes care of that 60 acres and below. Anything above that would be Doug Dean, and he's the one that kind of handles that sort of stuff. And then in the Delta office, we have a 4-H agent there, but we also have an agronomist. So our agronomist, his name is Todd Ballard, and he works in there, and he works very closely with a lot of large producers. So again, Katie helps out with a lot of our smaller, maybe the kind of home farms and the people going to the farmers market, those sorts of things. Todd's out there working with our large-scale production agriculturalists that are here and trying to help them out with any questions or stuff. And he does a lot of research as well. We do have a research campus in Grand Junction, so it's located down there, and we have a lot of other resources. It's kind of tied in with the Forest Service building, so if there's any sorts of questions and things, they do, again, a lot of research. You guys have probably seen as you're driving up towards like Hotchkiss area, there's the CSU research area. That they're researching orchards, apples and stuff, especially in that area. Down in Palisade, they have a separate one of the peaches. One of the producers, if you guys didn't see, just broke the world record in Palisade for the largest peach ever. So he just got put into the Guinness Book of World Records, got it official and stuff. It was a 2.5 pound peach. So they're pretty excited about that. And some of our CSU agents have been working closely with that orchard, so then for them to break the record. And it was kind of sad, but kind of cool. After they got it weighed and did all the measurements, they cut it up into slices and let everybody try it. And they said it was actually the best peaches that they'd had, which I was thinking maybe being that big it wouldn't be as flavorful, but they said it turned out very good. So yeah, so kind of neat that at the research area, they're able to have the new Guinness Book of World Records largest peach. So kind of exciting.
That's cool.
Yeah, so again, that's kind of a quick overview of some of the extension stuff, but I'll go through, and I don't know even if we want to kind of sit back to the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah, we can go through. So there's the map there, and then I'll have to go back one, sorry. So yeah, extension, so it's a gateway to the university. Primary objective, disseminate information, education, and promote the application research-based knowledge to our communities. So we look at it as, we're kind of the grassroots. It all started as part of the land grant, so all the state university is part of the land grant universities that we have. So when Colorado State University started, they went and they said, we need to be able to reach out to our community and see what the individual community needs are and how we can best help facilitate, educate, and get information to those people in those areas. So that's where Colorado State came up with the extension program. Every single county in the state of Colorado has the availability of extension agents. It might not be every agent in every single area covered, but you have that opportunity. Again, like I said, Ouray County, there's not an office there, but all of us here in Montrose make frequent trips to Ouray and Ridgeway and do those things to help out. San Miguel has theirs, Gunnison, everywhere has these extension agents. And the availability of research-based information that comes from the university. We've recently been transferred over into the faculty, so all of us agents fall under the faculty umbrella at Colorado State University, which at first we weren't sure how it's going to work, but the neat thing with that is it ties us directly to the educators on campus and the researchers on campus. So we have kind of that door now that's been opened for us to say, hey, we have this thing going on, these people have this question in Montrose, and I really don't know, but maybe you can help out with it. And it's not just other extension agents in the area, we can get straight to those people with the PhDs, the doctors with the information and doing that research to give you guys the best information, most up-to-date info, whether it's soil health, plant health, livestock, youth development, canning questions, all those sorts of things. We have very, very good resources that'll get that to you. And then I showed you kind of the map. Obviously, Colorado State University, our home base is there in Fort Collins, right there on the campus. So we make frequent trips over to Fort Collins for meetings and stuff like that, but they have us spread out all over. So we offer a range of youth development programs, serve more than 300 children within the community, provide evidence-based knowledge programs, different topics. So nutrition, wellness, Ann Duncan, like I said, is our family consumer science agent. She has a master's in nutrition and dietetics, so she comes in and she talks about the health and the well-being of people, but also does a lot when it comes to food safety and that. So she puts on a lot of serve safe classes, she does canning classes, all sorts of food preservation, and those. So her and Katie work quite a bit together because when Katie's helping those producers, like she was saying, get the product ready, and then what do I do now? There's all these new laws, there's the Cottage Food Acts, there's different things that we have to make sure that we know about. That's kind of when Ann steps in and takes over and then works with those producers to get those products legally to market. I know she had a big project this last spring and last fall working with John Murray at Triple M Orchards, and they were making all these juices. So they've done their cider and stuff, but they're having a lot of issues with, they're trying to do some watermelon juice and trying to get it just right, the fermentation and stuff. And Ann reached out to the university, was talking to some of the fermentation experts, because they now offer a brewing degree at CSU, and she reached out to them to say, something's going on, these keep exploding, and that's not right, because he would put all the stuff in there and they would ferment too much, and all of a sudden in his fridge, he'd have watermelon juice that exploded everywhere. And one of those fermentation professors gave her the information, was like, this is what you need, that she was able to send tests of their product over to him to see, and he was able to tell him, hey, you're getting these gases are getting put off and all that type of stuff. So a good example of her being able to utilize the resources on campus to help the local producer right here in Olathe. So other stuff, we kind of have different pictures. Obviously, this is not here in Montrose. You see the book cliffs there, but that's one of the orchards outside of Palisade there. So again, educating individuals, responsible land management practices, and then education and canning, food preservation, youth development, all those things. This was one of the fields that Katie wanted me to show you guys of the cover crops that they're doing. So that is not the one that she was talking about, but this is sweet corn, and it says it was flown on. They had Felix with the Olathe Spray Service, and to plant it, they actually seeded the field as they were flying and were planting it that way. So looking at different applications, different ways of doing it. One of the ideas was that they were able to plant a very large field in a very short amount of time. So emissions, maybe a little bit more efficient. Obviously the cost can be a little bit more when it comes to the cost of airplane fuel and that type of thing, but they were looking at ways of mitigating some cost and possibly a little bit less impact on the ground, on the environment by flying it through and doing that. And then the serve safe, that's one of the main things that Ann will do, is the food handlers licensing, and then all the serve safe classes. So she puts on a lot of those throughout the year in different areas. And then assisting producer, so that's Katie here. That was one of the ones she was talking about. Obtaining certification so they can start selling to larger retailers, and educational programming for native pollinators. So she kind of hit on both of those today, heading to go do a bee talk with some kids in Delta about pollinators. And then this is kind of getting into my stuff. So with 4-H, we do offer some other opportunities. It's not all just about showing animals. So that picture up there is our livestock judging team. And 3 of the members are all from Montrose. So this is comprised of TRA, so we have members from Mesa, Delta, Montrose, and they could be from Ouray as well. But this young lady here on the right is from Delta County. These 3 are Montrose County 4-H members, and they were the livestock judging Colorado State champions this last year. And they are heading to Louisville, Kentucky in November to go compete at the North American International Livestock Exposition to compete to be national champions. And if they place in the top 3, at Louisville, they have the opportunity to travel to Scotland to judge at the World Championships. So pretty exciting. And again, those were our state champions, 3 of those members being from Montrose. So we have livestock judging. We offer an exchange program. Our 4-H members, this last year we sent 8 of them to Pennsylvania with some of our adult chaperones and leaders, and they got to go look at livestock, agriculture, leadership, life in Western Pennsylvania. And they stayed out there for a week. And the year before, we hosted 10 4-H members from Western Pennsylvania. It's a 2-year process, so they kind of do pen pal stuff. They work together, get to know everybody really well. They come out and stay with us for a week, and then the next summer, our kids go out and stay with them for a week. So kind of a cool opportunity as well. This one I was talking about with STEM. So Stephanie Lamb, she does a lot of after-school programs you can do, or even take-home STEM kits. And that's what this kind of shows. She has lots and lots and lots and lots of STEM kits, anything you can imagine. And the cool thing is, they're free. You come in, you sign a paper, you can check it out. She has a lot of parents that do homeschooling, and they'll come in here, and a lot of these, she's aligned to Colorado State educational standards, so then they can still get some science credits, do those sorts of things. I went through and kind of helped her with some of that with my background from teaching and understanding how the standards work and what we need to do to reach those standards. And she went through, not all of them are tied directly to the standards, but a good number of them she has that will meet the standards requirements for those homeschool students, and she does a lot with the Loan Up program. And then you got our master gardeners. We got a nice picture of some soil and a worm in there. And then the 4-H again. So we offer shooting sports. So that's what you'll see here. One of our 4-H members practicing shotgun, shooting some skeet out at the range. We partnered with the Black Canyon Rod and Gun Club and their range out towards the Black Canyon east of town there. They've been very gracious. They let our kids come out there. We practice once a week for about 4 months leading up to our county fair shoot and then to our state fair shoot. And those kids have a great opportunity to go on. And one of our past members actually just received a full-ride scholarship to go shoot shotgun at Nebraska. So she's attending college in Nebraska on a full-ride scholarship from her experience shooting shotgun at 4-H. So kind of cool opportunity. And then beautiful pictures, at least 3 people up there. So again, that's me. This is Stephanie Lamb. So she's our STEM agent. And then kind of put a face to the name. That's Ann Duncan, who's our FCS agent. And then you guys all met Katie up here earlier today. So those are, again, are the 4 agents that we have in Montrose's office. But the opportunities and resources are out there for sure. So any questions you guys have, please let us know. We can always facilitate, find out information. And I think Katie said it best. If we don't know the answer, we know somebody that probably does, so we can help you get that answer for you.
Thank you so much. Let's give Jamie a big round of applause.